Scrappy friends, I have a layout for you today. I am so sorry I haven't been around. I got sick last week in the middle of the week, and being sick and doing voiceovers is not really all that fun or fun for you to listen to. So now that I am feeling quite better, I am going to share with you some layouts that I did last weekend, a while ago. I was inspired by Sarah King, and she is new to Hip Kits this season. And she is an amazing scrapbooker. I love her stuff. And she had shared this layout that she did, and it really just inspired me to want to try to like scrap lift it or something, but I really wanted to do my style. And I really have been wanting to play with paint lately. I love paint. It's one of my favorite things to use. And so I took that gray and I really wanted to make it soft, which is why I added quite a bit of water to it. I did add clear gesso to my page first, which I didn't show me doing. And I used clear because I was using the white cardstock, and I find that the non-clear kind is a little bit, I don't like the fact that it's not white. I'm not a big fan of the clear. It's really, really gritty, but I think that you need that tooth sometimes, and I don't think it makes the media that you're putting on your layout any different. Like, I don't think it like affects it that much as you feel the grit on there. So I mean, it's not like I'm going to be running my hands over my layouts, when they're in the protectors. Usually it goes in the protector and then so it's not like that. Really, actually probably shouldn't bug me, even though I'm just don't like the fact that it's gritty. But anyway, so you also seen me use that Amy Tangerine stencil. I love those packs of little stencils. So thank you, Erica, for letting me have the last ones that you had. Because I love those. They're so much fun to play with, and I love that little size because you can kind of move around stuff. And I just used a little bit of white. Actually, did I use white paint or did I use the pearlescent? I think I just used a little bit of white paint. And because the sponge that I used was an older sponge, I use the sponge applicators on the Tim Holtz to do a lot of paint with the stencils. I find that that works really well for me to get a decent amount. I mean, you can't add too much paint or it's going to go underneath the stencil. But yeah. So anyway, I use white paint. So it's really, really hard to see, and I didn't want it to be very visible. And you've seen me use the vellum. I was thinking I was going to use the vellum instead of white because Sarah used white paper with white paper and then she stitched. So right now I'm looking through my photos, and those two are the ones that I can't decide. And you can kind of see me playing around with it, and I'm like trying to think, okay, where do I want to cut this? You could see my hands moving around, and this is just me thinking in my head. I suppose I could talk out loud scrapping. It's just a little weird, but I was just like thinking in my head, and sometimes it makes it easier if I use my hands on my stuff. Go, okay, I knew I didn't want to use that whole sheet because one, Sarah used a smaller photo, but I also just wasn't wanting that much photo space, even though that photo was gorgeous. It was taken by a really good photographer where my brother lives, and so I'll make sure I have a link to her photography so that if you live in that area and you want to check out her website, whatever. So their wedding was in the San Francisco area. So yeah. But anyway, so I cut it, even though I really had a hard time. I really didn't want to cut it because it was such a nice photo, but I didn't need that much space. And I didn't think that when I cut it, I actually really like it a lot more because it's focused on my brother and his wife. And, these pictures and that day was so much fun. And so I'm just kind of trying to, as I can, do some of the photos that I have from her. And I took a few photos and I've scrapped some of those. So now I'm just using some of my papers from my hip kit. I am using hip kit. The only thing that I think that isn't hip kit is the vellum, well, besides the paint. And that wood grain underneath is from like an 8x11 or whatever paper pad, I think. It was some stuff that was given to me, and it's gorgeous. I want to say it might be Amy Tan or Dear Lizzie. And this is, I used what Sarah did on the bottom down there, but, and you're going to see in a minute, I am going to take that vellum off because in my mind, it just works so much better, and I hate that. I don't know if you guys have this happen to you, but sometimes in my mind, I picture something, and I'm like, oh, that's going to look so good. It's going to be amazing. You know, I'm going to put the vellum instead of the paper. It'll look really cool, and maybe it would have looked cool if it was just plain vellum, and I don't know, and because this vellum is from the Wonder Collection, I think it has a little bit of a vintagey feel, so, I mean, it really isn't noticeable until you see it on the white. And actually, I didn't notice it as much until I seen it on this video as I was editing it. And I noticed, oh my gosh, it is way like the color of it. So here, I took that off. I left one piece behind, no, a couple pieces behind where my photo area is. So that bottom block, I just left those there. So there are fishtails because I fishtailed it. I just didn't show me taping it down and stuff because that took a while because I had to do each piece. And so here I'm also looking for a couple of other pieces just to add for layering. I figured I would use that bottom frame because I'm trying to use up all these frames. In theory, frames are so pretty, but I hate that. Well, not really. I have a hard time using the frames because I don't know. I guess it's the Tanya in me. It just doesn't want to be told that I have to use a frame the way that a frame is supposed to be used. So I feel like when it's there, I need to use it, you know. I don't know. It's that rebellion in me. No, you're not going to make me use a frame the way that a frame is supposed to be used. But I figured I'd use it to frame in like some embellishments because this is one way that I like to do to have things a little messy. Here I'm trying to decide exactly where I want that one tag. I really like the color. It's a little bit darker red compared to the corals, but I really like the way that it's contrasted. It's just a little bit darker with the other things. And I did add one of the squares from the Jen Hatfield paper. And I probably said this, but now I'm going to say it again. I used my hip kit. I think I said that. Wow. This is I've only been talking 8 minutes. How could I have forgotten that if I said that or not? Apparently, my cold has still not left my brain yet. But I was looking for a couple of extra embellishments because I just got the main kit, so I didn't get the add-on, which has the extra embellishments. And plus I figured, you know, I have so many embellishments. Like, as much as I would love to get the add-on right now, for me, I need to use up a lot of this stuff. So, and I have stuff that matches with that. Those are from the IM, and I'm not going to end up using the tag, but I do kind of play around with it. And I'm trying to make it look I want to frame it on the inside, and I want to do a little bit more because I have that box, and that's a good place to contain embellishments. But I just didn't want it to go crazy, and I didn't like it with the tag once I put it there. I think it looked better when I didn't have all the other stuff that I wanted to add in there, and I really wanted to add the home because they just got married, so it's kind of, and I did add paper from that collection, from those little squares. I mean, there's like a whole bunch of them, and the one side had diagonal stripes, and I probably wouldn't use that paper that much. It just wasn't really all that my style. So I didn't mind cutting them up and actually using. I think I'm going to use some of the squares to make some cards, and I probably have said that already. But I really like the way that they look behind those hearts. And I did cut the wooden heart circles. I did cut those. And I really like the way that this turned out in the end. At first I wasn't sure, and it doesn't really look like Sarah's layout at all, and I think that's the fun thing about when you take a layout and you're inspired by it. You know, it doesn't have to, like, in my mind, when you start scraplifting, it doesn't end up having to look like what someone else did. It's just that you take what they've done and you just start playing, and you let what you're using, your embellishments, your pictures, and you let that kind of do its own thing. And I think that's the great thing about that I've found for me, that when I just go with the flow. And I mean, yeah, I had a plan as far as like, oh, I knew what kit I was using, and I knew, you know, what I was going to scrap lift. I really like the way that these Dear Lizzy thickers look. The really thin gold, they're really fun. The only thing I don't like about them is they don't stick at all. So they move all around. Like, that bugged me. So I did have to use glossy accents. I don't think I showed that. And I am going to add some splatters in a minute off screen. I don't think I show it. And I add a little bit of gold. So I have a Marian Smith color. You pretty much make your own sprays with her stuff. And you can mix the colors and stuff. The only thing that I find is that, I don't know, it's not Heidi Swapp. So, but, and I've had a hard time finding, like, getting a gold to match. But I did do a little bit of gold with a little bit of green in it. I thought that that would kind of match with the mint, or like that minty green that is on the layout. Anyway, so this is it, and here's the close-ups, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching me make this and just ramble on about my process. I will see you guys later, and I hope you have a great week. Bye!